Now we should have understood what is Knauf insulation providing in terms of BIM files. Let's take a look at them. On the description of the video, you can find a link to our previous video explaining how to use the BIM factory. From there we get the Knauf insulations files we are going to work with right now, so better to previously download them to follow this tutorial. Opening one of those auto-generated files, we will see something like this. Before we start into the details of the file, let's explain a bit about the Revit interface. Revit interface is divided into three different main sections. The top part is where all the tools are. There we can place families, edit them, and interact with the whole model. On the left side of the screen there is two windows stacked, the Properties palette and Project Browser. I personally like more put them one on each side so we get a better idea with a glimpse of their content. To move the windows, we can simply grab them and drag them across the screen till they stick. To arrange our interface, we can go to the top part. Then click the View tab. And in the last section, called Windows, we have the user interface. There we can click or unclick the elements we want to be shown. In the Properties palette, now on our left side by itself, we can access to the properties of the element we select, having a short briefing of its information without going any deeper. On the Project Browser is where we will have a summary of all the views of our model. They are categorized depending on their reference point. On this case we have floor plans, 3D views and sections. At the bottom we will find legends, schedules, sheets and, lastly, families and groups. Inside this Project Browser is where all the different views in any document we generate will be accessible, so it's important to have it handy. Finally, let's have a look at the file. The default view corresponds with the level number 1 of the floor plan. See how this level is in bold on the Project Browser, indicating is the active view. Here we see a top view of the level 1, which is the only one in this model, with the piece of a flat roof that Knauf insulation provides. Apart from the logo, we have a small text indicating the level of design and information of this element. We will go into details on next sessions, but just to give you an idea of what this numbers indicates, in a scale usually from 100 to 500, it says the level of details inside the information provided within the model, and its geometry and representation aspects. Remember, BIM is visualization plus information. Clicking the element displayed, we have the information on the Properties palette about our flat roof. We can see that is a type of the basic roof family, a default family inside Revit's library. Also, we can see some of its dimensions attributes like the thickness, volume and area, as the most important information on this window. It might happen that you don't see colors or details of the roof. An important feature in Revit is that you can select the level of details and visual you want to work with. On the bottom part of the screen, you have a list of several icons. The first one allows you to see the level of detail of your whole model. You can choose between coarse, medium or fine. The second one is the visual style, and gives you the opportunity to make the selection of the display of the elements. Be aware that a finer level of details and visual requires higher performance from your computer, so it can make it working slower. I recommend to select medium and consistent colors and increase the level if you miss some information. This view is a 2D view. To see the 3D illustration, we need to go to the View tab on the top section where the tools are. There we look for the little house, and clicking there it will give us a 3D image of our object. You can check that if there was not 3D view created before in this file, now the Project Browser in our right side will show the one we just opened. Double-clicking on the 3D between brackets will also open this view. Once we are inside a 3D space, we need to understand how to move in it with the mouse. I personally prefer to use a physical USB mouse rather than the touchpad, so grab one if you have it available, as it will ease the navigation around the 3D space. The left click is to select, and dragging it you can make a wider selection with several objects within the selection frame. This is also possible holding the Control key, while left-clicking on each object to be added to our selection. To release that selection, simply press the Escape button. With the wheel we can zoom in and out, just be aware that the pivot point will be where the mouse is. So, if our mouse is sitting on the top of the screen, we will zoom into that area. And if it is on the center, we will zoom in there. To move the visual plan, we need to hold the center button or scroll wheel while moving the mouse in the desired direction. Now let's learn how to orbit. When holding the Shift key and pressing the scroll wheel, we will be able to move around within 360 degrees free view. This movement can be done also with the View cube, available in the right top corner of our model. Grabbing the edges of the cube or the wheel below with the cardinal directions, we will able to orbit around our model. It will happen that we lose the control orbiting or zooming, and we don't know where the model is. For those occasions I will give you a quick tip. Right-click, we will see one option which is Zoom to Fit. This will bring us to the starting point, showing everything on the screen. So we learned how to create selections, change view perspective in the project browser, zoom in and out, move the view plane and orbit around it. Now we should understand Revit's interface and how to manipulate basic elements and models. In BIM design, the space is three-dimensional, so we need to set our mindset to operate on these spaces.